work on numbers. Pronounship. Person. What is person? The term person refers to a classification system of pronouns. I know we've all heard the word classify before, where we're putting things into different groups, in different orders. We use classification a lot in science and in math. Well, we also use it in reading, and today we're going to classify some pronouns in grammar. Pronouns, which we already know, this is just a review. They're common words we use to take the place of nouns. Some common ones are I, you, he, she, it, we, they, etc. Well, etc. is not a pronoun. So how do we classify pronouns? There are two ways we can classify them. When speaking of pronouns, we can divide them into two groups. Well, groups into two ways. According to whether they're first person, second person, or third person. And that's going to be our major focus today. Making sure we put them in first, second, and third person. And we all know that first, second, and third person is how we write. That's how the authors write our information. According to whether they are singular or plural. And this is going to be number, which I'll introduce to you when we come back. In front of you, there's a chart that looks like this. Look at your chart. Find your chart on your desk. Here are some examples of a shift in person. When people get angry, we sometimes say things you would not say when calm. This is my sentence. I don't see anything wrong with it. Okay? Perfectly good sentence, right, Charlotte? Yeah. Okay. But do you recognize some problems? When I go back and I think about it and I look at it again, like I asked you to do with your DWA, when I look at it again, well, maybe I do see a problem here or there. Let's see. Okay, so when people get angry, we sometimes say things you would not say when calm. People, we, and you. I have three different pronouns in different angry. They sometimes say things they would not say when calm. Notice I've changed some words. I kept people, which was in third person. So I had to change my other pronouns to make them third person also. So now I have they is third person. On reaching the campsite, one must be upset to discover you must walk another mile for fresh drinking water. Can you spot the problem? Look at the sentence carefully. If you can spot the problem, raise your hand. You tell me what you see.
I see they have you. They have the you. Like when it says one must be upset to discover you.
Okay. So you is what you're saying we need to revise? Okay, let's see if that's where the problem is. Okay. Carlace is telling me that you and one are different. Okay. Does everybody see that? Amaya, do you see it? Okay. So, can we revise it? We know that one is third person and you is second person. So Carlace was correct. They're not the same person. So how can we fix that? Change one to you, or we could change, so one is third person, so we can change one to second person.
Or we could change the you into third person.
Or we could change you to third person. Let's see. Okay. On reaching the campsite, one must be upset to discover one must walk another mile for fresh drinking water. Or we could say on reaching the campsite, one must be able to discover he or she must walk another mile for fresh drinking water. You can write, you can highlight, you can underline, but I want you to work together. So what are we, okay, where's my first pronoun? Where's the first, no, where's the we? Okay, so we're starting out, where's your chart? So we're starting off with we. What person is we? Okay, so I want you to highlight it, okay? We is first, good morning, baby. Sit down, baby. We is first person, okay? So if we is first person, then you has to be what? So you is second person, so we know that's not right. So we need to find a word from first person that we can substitute you with. Okay? So highlight it. Okay, tell me what you do. Tell me how you figure it out. First, okay? This is the second, okay? So we need to find something that goes with what? With first person, okay? I'm coming back. Today. Okay, so you, where's your chart? You need your chart, okay? So what person is you? Second. So where's your next pronoun? Okay, so we know herself, the base word is her. So if you is second, her, which one would be correct? So do we change that to what? Do we have anything else? What would be the error here? Is there an error? Can we change something to a pronoun? What? You? Look at your chart. Find what person your initial pronoun is in. And that has to go through the story. Now remember, there may not be a change. Yes, Jay. Okay, what are we talking about here? Second person. Okay. Now, if we're talking about second person here, would that be, if we change that to a pronoun, what would we change it to? What would we change it to? We had to change that to a pronoun. What would a woman be? What pronoun would she be? Okay, so she would be third person. So would that be right? If we change that to a pronoun, would that be right? So which one do you think it is? Okay. Listen to it. What would you say? Using one of these words. Put what? Okay, so draw a line through there and write he, so you can remember. No, Fritz. Okay, now, all right, so he is what? He is what person? Okay, so now, if we have third person for he, with your, and your is what person? Second, so what do we change it to? Do we keep it the same? So what will we change it to? Look on your chart. Look on your chart. And read your sentence. Changing that pronoun. Okay, so make him a pronoun. Fritz is a he, he's not a she. Okay, so now, you change Fritz to a pronoun. What? He's third person. Okay, so your is what person? So, what do we have to change your to? So find a pronoun down here that would fit that right here. Okay. Are we ready? Yes, ma'am. Okay, are we ready? Okay. Remember, it doesn't have to be 100% right. What I want you to look at is, first, what is the first pronoun? What person is it? First, second, or third? And after we found out what the pronoun is, then we have to make sure that the other pronouns are of the same person. We can't have first person with third person. Do we understand that much? Now, I noticed some of you had to go back and you had to take your noun and change it into a pronoun, which I'm glad you realized that, because you had to put it into pronoun form in order to figure out if it was first, second, or third person. Okay? Item 1. We were starving, but decided to make the long drive home because the choices at the food court would have poisoned you. Okay? I'm looking at you. Do I need you? What will be my answer? Because I have my first pronoun is we, so it has to be the same. Item 2. You can buy fried chicken in minutes at a fast food drive-thru, but in the 1800s, you had to slaughter, pluck, and cook the bird herself to serve chicken for dinner. Okay? I'm looking at you. On your paper, you know what happened? It printed out the slide at the end. So look at that. Look at number 2. Which one would I change?
Herself.
I would change herself.
No, you changed you. We changed you. Because that's second.
You would change the be you to a woman.
Okay, we'll change you to a woman. Okay? So you put no change necessary, so it should be no change necessary on your paper, because they did the change for you. When a student has disappointed a professor, you can always try smiling in class or offering a compliment to get back on the teacher's good side. What should I change a student had? When a student had? What would that change to?
Students have.
Okay, to A. Would it change to A?
No.
C. Okay, how many have C? Very good, because we need second person. Closure. Let's close it out. Any questions before we go on? I don't want to go too fast. Just go on. Let's do a quick review. The term person refers to the classification system for pronouns. When speaking of these pronouns, we can divide them into groups in 2 ways, person and number. Today, we focused on person. And when we say person, we're talking about the point of view. First person, second person, and third person. Okay? Everybody understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, our objective for today was to recognize and correct inappropriate shifts in pronoun person. Did we accomplish that?
Yes.
How? What did you do?
A quick test.
You did a quick test. And in that quick test, we had some persons that were what, O'Neill? We had singular and plural, but we also had what, Zeta?
First person, second person.
Were the persons all the same? No, they were what, Taylor? You had to change them because they were not the right way. You had a question, O'Neill? Does it? Huh?
We had one noun.
Okay, and we had a noun that we had to do what to?
Change it.
Change it to a pronoun. Do you think you'll see that again on the ILE?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you think you'll see that on one of my tests?
Yes, ma'am.
You can bet on it. Okay? For homework tonight, you will have a paper on pronoun shifts. Are there any questions at this time? All right, so we are finished.